Hello and welcome to my Everything I Knit in September video. Now, I thought that I would have had more than this, but to be fair, I have been up and down the country working stupidly hard, directing production. I've still got bits of costumey things all floating around, so it's probably not surprising that I didn't manage to complete as much as I did. I'm just throwing this one out here as some accountability. Have I completed this grey section of the big blanket? No. This was at least one thing I was planning on finishing in September, but it just didn't happen. I do love knitting it, and this is something I'm going to have to work on in October. And then hopefully I'll finish this section in October if I say it loud enough and often enough, and it might just happen. So while I was at Knit August Nights at the end of last month, I took the From the Inside Out course with Lisa F Designs, and one of the things that we were working on, other than just a little square, well, hexagon really, pattern, was this hat here that she gave us the pattern for. So it's just a standard beanie, but it's got this star shape on the top, which is kind of cute. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I've made this with yarn from the Woven, so it's very squishy and lovely. I kind of went off book around here and just knitted until I had a length that I wanted, and then I just did a 1x1 rib, which I can't remember what the pattern called for, but I do remember somewhere along this band here I've decreased a stitch to make it work with the 1x1 rib. I still have not woven in my ends because I stopped making this and started making this, because also at the late end of last month we were selected to go to the National One Act Play Festival, and when being selected to go to the National One Act Play Festival, it was in Christchurch, it was still cold. We chose some team shirts that were orange because my personal motto is dress for search and rescue to be able to find you, and if you're traveling with a whole stack of teenagers, it's nice to be able to see them all at once. So we had orange shirts made up, and that was all it took for me to want to have an orange cable beanie, which is also knitted from the top down. I'm not sure that I will continue knitting hats from the top down, so I will re-knit this from the cuff up, and I'll release the pattern in both directions, because I do think a centre double decrease would be nicer than the increasing going the other way. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, it's perfectly nice. It's just not my preference. It is a great hat though. This here is Cascade yarn from Skeins, and it was knitted on a 4.5mm needle, so it's a worsted weight, I think. Yeah. And then the other thing that I have completed are these socks here. Now these socks I started in Auckland. Which sock is my starting sock? This one's my starting sock. So they were started in Auckland, and I think I completed about that much while at the National Barbershop Final. Oh, this needs blocking. And so now I've completed both of them. And I played the ultimate round of yarn chicken with this one. This yarn tail here is the exact amount of yarn left over from the ball of yarn when I completed it. To be fair, I started with two similar balls of yarn, but they were both older balls that have been used for other things over the years, but it was time to use them up. So I just threw them in the bag, and off we went to Auckland and ran with it. These have not been blocked or anything like that. So that's to be done next on the agenda, but I am pleased with how the patterns come out here, so this will be sorted out and uploaded at some point onto the website as well. So they're quite nice, but I like the feeling of the texture here, but I did not want this texture under my foot, because I've learnt that from the Stephen West socks. I don't like a textured underfoot at all. I just can't handle it. Yeah, so this pattern here will be released for Socktober. because that was half the goal of it, was that October is going to be my sock based month, and I will hopefully have a whole stack of sock based patterns, sock based videos and that sort of thing. There's one other sock that I've been working on, and I did complete one sock. Now this is a very quick knit, really. It's a long sock. I think it's the longest sock I've knitted. But it's a little bit experimental as well. This is with opal yarn. It's a DK weight sock yarn. So it's knitted on 4mm needles. Oh, it's definitely storming out there. So this sock here, I've completed this one on various drama trips, but I need to start its pair. I just haven't started the pair because I've got something else on the needles that I used for this to start with. Anyway, this will knit up quite quickly to do the second one, so hopefully in October this pattern will be finished and maybe released. We'll see. I think I might be pushing it to release 2 sock patterns this month because my musical opens very shortly. Other than that, what have I been working on? Ignore this entire length because, to be completely honest, this was a pre-purchased sock kit from a circular sock machine. These little bits here have actually been done on the first 2 days of October, so this doesn't count as everything I knitted in September, but it is part of what's coming in October is this sort of sock kit process and whether or not I like it and that sort of thing. Yeah, so what did I knit in September? Nowhere near as much as I was anticipating. I did do a little bit of crochet, and I do mean a little bit of crochet. I maybe made about 2 or 3 more granny squares, but then I realized I need to finish the big blanket so that I've got the last of the silver yarn ready to go, and then I can see how big I can make my granny square cushion. Or if it's going to be a granny square blanket, it's going to be a cushion, because there's no way I'm going to complete these tiny little granny squares in a blanket form with just leftover yarn ends from various projects. But mostly I'm out of one particular shade of grey, and that will be the scraps of what's left over from the big blanket when we're done there. So I haven't picked up anything on my Stevie jumper. I've still got the sleeves to go on there because I misplaced the pattern. Story of my life. As well as I don't want to pick up the stitches along the sleeves. I want to knit them from the cuff up, because I just feel like that's a nicer end, the cast on end, than the cast off. But that's just me, and I do think that I'm going to need the structure of actually stitching it in. Yeah, I think that's the best way to go. And I've also been working on a scarf for Zeusical the Musical, because anyone who knows it, there's a scarf that one of the characters gives to Horton, and so during rehearsals I'm just sitting there working on that. So that will hopefully come together rather quickly once we get to rehearsal later on today. So in the meantime, keep an eye out on videos for the rest of this month, because they're going to be sock themed for Socktober, and I shall see you later on. Bye.